Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30, so we'd like to make a prompt start. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is a meeting of Frome Town Council. I'm Philip Campagna, and I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. Just to remind everyone, we've got people online and in the room. For those in the room, a little housekeeping as usual. The emergency exit is in the rear corner of the room, and the assembly point is the far side of the car park. Toilets are at the end of the corridor on the right, and there is an accessible toilet on the right of the lift. I'm sure you've done so already, but please help yourself to teas and coffees and refreshments during the meeting. Tonight, Paul will clerk, Laura, Sarah, Becca, and Rachel will manage minutes, question boards, participant settings, and the IT generally. The meeting will be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel. For those councillors attending via Zoom, please use the yellow hand, and for anyone else, ask questions through the Q&A board. So first on the agenda is apologies of absence, and I think we have a number of those, Paul.
We do. Nick Dove, Tracy Ashford, Mel Usher, Anita Collier, Carla Collinet, Max Wide, Andy Jones, Fiona Burrows, and Andy Rintmore.
Quite a list. Okay, can have somebody propose? Anne Hills, seconded. Polly, those.
Paul, just to say, Tracy and Nick are online.
Okay. Anne proposed. I missed the seconder.
Polly.
I think that's unanimous.
Thank you. And this evening, declaration of councillors' interests. I'm going to pass over to Paul because of an agenda item we have later in the evening.
Just ask Anne first. We've got a microphone. Rachel, put a microphone.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Anne Hills, I am a director of the Frome Independent. I'm declaring a non-pecuniary, other registerable interest in agenda item 7. I will leave the room when that agenda item comes up.
Thank you, Anne. And I'll hand to Paul.
Yeah, this is an unusual one. Agenda item 7, again, about the Frome Independent. Currently, the Town Council is a member of the company, which means as a corporate body, all the councillors comprise that membership. So if all the councillors declared their interest, then there would be no councillors to vote on the motion. So to get around that and to make it all nice and fun and dandy, the proposal is to, I've got here, requests for dispensation to allow councillors to vote on that. From Philip Campagna, Mark Dorrington, Lisa Merriweather, Sarah Butler, and Polly Lamb, oh, I've missed one, and Steve Tanner. So I think if someone would propose that the dispensations are approved, we could actually vote on that motion when we get to it.
Sarah proposing and Lisa seconding.
Well, I think I should abstain.
Good move. So all those in favour of giving yourself dispensation is majority with Anne Hills abstaining. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much for that. Next, the approval of the minutes from the last meeting on the 13th of March 2024. Again, over to Paul. I think we're okay on most points. Is there anything that we need to?
Yeah, if I can just update the room for the record, if you like. The Town Council is now paying for the cleaning of the toilets in the Market Yard car park. So that action is being implemented. It's at a tenancy at will basis at the moment, and it gives us time to work out the implications of that before we go into any formal arrangement. So They're being cleaned to the best of our ability at the moment. They're in a worse state than we expected them to be, I think, Rachel, would be the, yeah. So we're having a look at that, but they are being cleaned and they are open, which was the intention. The SLA, Service Level Agreement for CCTV, is still in the negotiating stage, but I'm confident that we'll bottom that one out and agree that SLA soon.
Okay, if there are no other comments regarding the minutes, can have somebody please propose that we accept those minutes? Mark Dorrington, seconded by Steve Tanner.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. And next item on the agenda, questions and comments from the public that aren't relating to agenda items further down the list, if I may say that, please. Do we have any comments? Yes, please.
Thanks. John Drake, I'm one of the trustees of Frome. I'm here with our senior coordinator. Most people know Lenka Grimes. And this is by way of information and a plea really to the council. As most people know, most of our people that use Frome come through the referral system. So they refer from other agencies to get the support in terms of what we can offer for the food bank. Over the last 2 months, we've seen the DWP stop all referrals from the Job Centre Plus for reasons apparently down to GDPR. Today, we've learned that Somerset Care Services are no longer referring people in public or in person, and the CAB are no longer referring clients to us in person. So we've got, at a time when the cost of living crisis is still here and people are in huge need, avenues to access Frome services are being closed down one by one. So we're here to see if the Town Council can provide some relief from this, or some method, or meet with us to try and work out a way in which the Town Council can help in signposting not just people to Frome, but the other services that are so desperately needed by so many people in the town. Thanks.
Thank you, John. I'm looking at Paul and one or two other councillors, if they want to respond.
Perhaps we could be in touch, just understand with Lenka what the issue is, and then to see how we might be able to sort of facilitate that referral to be back on track somehow. We do.
Or Somerset councillors, Somerset Council Access Point Advisors.
Is that right?
We've been informed this week that they are unable to make referrals to us. Those advisors can go. Sorry, yeah, just to clarify, the Somerset Council Access Point Advisors are now unable to make referrals as of today. We've been told, with no warning. So if anyone knows any further information, that'd be great, please.
If the Somerset councillors want to make a comment or know anything?
It's the first we've learned. So thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about it.
Rachel?
I do understand that the Somerset access point is closing here, and I also believe it's closing in the library, so that may well be why.
So Somerset access point is actually closing here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't heard when yet, but we have heard it definitely will.
Okay.
So maybe we can liaise with Lenka and just see what's the art of the possible on that, and to see how that referral might go. Would that be all right, John? Yeah.
I'll go to Anne and then Mike.
I don't know whether I need to declare an interest. I am also a trustee of Frome, but I'd like to be involved in that meeting as well, if I can.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'd just like to say, because I'm a Somerset councillor, I'd like to help if there's anything that they can do at the Somerset end, but it sounds like it's a procedural issue with the forms, and as you say, might be data protection or something, but we need to get to the bottom of it and see if we can help. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Mike. John, is that okay? Then we'll obviously liaise. Yes. Yeah. We'll deal with that very urgently. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Any other questions from the public? Do you have any online? No.
Not currently.
Okay. Any questions from councillors, Frome Town councillors? Nope. Any county councillors?
Yeah, Dawn's on the list first, I think. Yeah, Dainton comes before Demery, I think. So we definitely would like to be involved in that conversation. I've probably got to do with money as well. So that's something that we need to look at. But there's nothing to add because I know today is a long meeting. Everything's in my report.
Martin, I think you had a...
Yes, thank you very much. Martin Demery, Frome West. A couple of things. One, good news. We're absolutely delighted yesterday to learn that Crystal Court Care Home is going to remain open. It's been taken over by a company called Agincare. We do have questions as to why we weren't informed early enough about that eventuality, but similarly to the issue that we've just heard, I'm afraid this is tending to happen a lot of the time. A couple of other issues that cropped up this afternoon in a meeting, one which will affect our thinking tonight, later on. A proposal will go forward to full council next week to reduce the planning committees from 13 people to 11, which I'm afraid I do not agree with at all. I do hope that one of our Frome councillors, we have 4 of us on that committee, Dawn, myself, Helen and Adam, and Mick often substitutes, as does Shane, and we just hope we don't lose one of the Frome places on that committee. I think that probably as much as I need to update you on at the moment.
Thank you, Martin. That's good news about Crystal Court. Thank you very much. Okay, item 3, we have a report, an update from Councillor Dawn Denton. You happy with that? Okay, thank you. Item 4, we have an update from MP Sarah Dyke. Yeah, that's just a written, they're both written comments, yeah, written reports. I think there are any comments leading from that. Okay, thank you. Item 5, an update to the Constitution Chapter's Staff and Councillors Protocol and the Councillors Code of Conduct. And I'll hand over to Paul.
Thanks, Philip. Yeah, this is just the annual round of readopting various constitutional chapters. These 2 are around the Councillors' Code of Conduct and the protocol between staff and councillors. There are no proposed changes to the current versions, so I kind of leave them with you to see whether you want to propose to readopt them.
So do we have any questions or comments on those? No. Anybody like to then propose, please, that we accept? Lisa, and seconded by Steve.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, now we come to item 6 on the agenda, review and agree response to the Selwood Garden Community Planning application. I'm going to ask Steve to come up, but just before I do that and he makes his way, just a couple of reminders first. We're going to go once Jane and Steve have finished their part, then we're going to go to questions from the public here, and then questions from public online with Rachel managing that, and then we will go to councillors. Just a reminder, please, that as item 5 indicated, our code of conduct is that to be respectful and mindful of other people's views and respect other people's positions, and that also if we can keep our comments succinct so that we can give as many people the opportunity to speak this evening, that would be most welcome. Thank you very much. Over to Steve.
Thanks, Philip. Yeah, as Philip said, this is the our response to the outline on Selwood Garden Community. I'll ask Jane to introduce the project in a minute, but firstly, I think need to acknowledge the work that LVA and Grassroots have put in to preparing this. There's an awful lot of information there for everyone to look. I think we should also acknowledge the work that Jane's put in, because she's written a very long report which covers a lot of things which is very useful for everybody. And we're trying tonight to bring a discussion around the report that Jane's written and the recommendation in that report, rather than go back over the whole of the Selwood
garden community project. So we've sort of come a long way. Jane has written a report, so we're trying to keep the discussion to that report, and that will help us shape our comments going forward. We have received, since Jane published that report, a response from Matthew Kendrick at LVA, which I would acknowledge right now. That came through today, so we will go back on that at some stage as well. So, Jane, if you can introduce the report, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Steve. Can you all hear me? Because I have no idea with this thing on. Thank you. Not working? Is it fine at the back? Okay, thank you. So, as Steve said, Laura, would you be able to put the PowerPoint up? No presentation, and all I'm going to do is run through a summary of the objections that are at the end of the report. So, number one, the development is outside of the development limits. The site's too far from major facilities. The existing town infrastructure cannot support this development, and that includes medical facilities, education, water and sewage, public transport and the highway network. We're not confident that the design codes can or will be adhered to. The development must provide 40% affordable social housing, and that a high percentage of the affordable housing must be built first. Development would result in the unacceptable loss of open countryside and valuable agricultural land, and the existing sewage network cannot cope. Then right at the end of the report, followed by the proposed objections, we've also included some comments should the application be approved. Again, a very brief summary of those comments. That the highway recommendations that we received from Selwood Parish Council that are listed in the report must be incorporated. Frome Town Council would want to own the freehold of the open spaces and community buildings to ensure that they're managed as community facilities. That there's sufficient Section 106 funding, which covers provision for health, education, open spaces, leisure and community uses. The issues that are set out by Friends of the River Frome, again in full in the report, must be properly addressed. We would want to see a condition for the sale of market housing or all housing to local people first. We would want to see an increase in the provision of affordable housing to 40%, and the outline must be non-severable to ensure that any permission cannot be amended later by a drop in permission. That's all I've got to say, really. So I think back to Steve to manage any discussion and anybody who wants to speak. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. So what we are planning to do is, I'm guessing obviously there are members of the public, so we're going to ask the members of the public if they want to make any comments first. After that, I'll go to the respective councillors here, and then as a council, we will vote on Jane's recommendation. So I know that Lynn Sands, she's requested to ask a question. Where is Lynn? I can't. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Let's give you a microphone, Lynn.
It's more of a response from Stop SGC. Shall I stand up? I missed the first page. Sorry. Firstly, we'd like to add one or two pertinent considerations about the Council's report findings. Firstly, a reminder that in the words of the land financiers themselves, it is a plan that simply shows one way the site could be developed, implying there are further potentially even more negative alternatives that could appear here in future. Secondly, that while the Council states that a master planned approach to development is preferable to piecemeal developments that usually provide little or no infrastructure, it is worth noting that the infrastructure and Section 106 payments in this proposal are not there to materially enhance the town of Frome. There are mitigation measures for the sheer numbers of people, cars and waste created by this proposal. From the Butts to Gorehedge and beyond, where do they actually contribute positively or add anything to local infrastructure in Frome? Thirdly, the council's position on new affordable houses is admirable, both in terms of type and timings. However, Frome Town Council will have no say over when and where social rented accommodation might be developed, and the current planning laws allow developers to renege on their agreements if existing home sales do not reach 15% profitability. You only have to look at the numbers for the development on the outskirts of Warminster to see how the threshold of 30% quickly becomes 8%. Fourthly, the note on the proposal being subject to the design code is the same as me saying I will definitely wear my orange shirt tomorrow. A range of factors influence such a decision, and again, no one else but the developer will have control over what the final code looks like. Just because Somerset's planning officer will be able to reference this design code 10 years from now, when the next lot of fields are being ripped up and replaced by tarmac, doesn't mean it will produce anything that anyone actually wants. Finally, there is one omission in the report: the notion that Frome is swiftly becoming a dormitory town. We all agree that it's great that Frome attracts visitors and new residents. This council has worked hard to put the town on the map, and it clearly punches above its weight when compared to other towns of this size across the country. But the fact remains that there is little employment here. Building thousands of new homes in Frome will see... Sorry. Sorry. We'll see yet more people get in their cars and drive the 10, 15 or 25 miles on to Westbury, Bath or Bristol to reach their jobs. I will just leave you with this thought then. Is this the version that we all have for Frome? A one-size-fits-all commuter conurbation with none of the character, style or soul that is this town is so proud of? As the report quite rightly states, SGC is a speculative development outside of the formal planning process, one put forward by people with one thing on their minds, and it isn't Frome.
Thank you. Thanks, Lynn. We'll take all those comments back. I think Jane's made some notes, and as I said, we'll bring everything together for our formal response in due course. Right. Anyone else like to ask any or make any comments? I got. Who's going first, Pat?
Shall I go first?
Okay.
Okay. I'm Pat Smith, and I am from Civic Society, as is Rick here. But he's chosen that I speak. Lucky boy. Okay, I'll keep it short because we did give a presentation at the planning meeting here last year. I think our views are quite well known. Couple of points really about the report. I think the multiple points of objection are well summarised, and we're pleased to see them there. We could always add one or two, but I think what's there is good. However, the points have been made in a very concise way, and we do think that they could be strengthened with more data-based evidence so that they have more traction, not only with the planners, but of course if this ultimately ends up at appeal, it will be very important that what we object to, we can support our objections with data. And I'd just like to give you a few examples, just one or two, of where we think that could happen. For example, your second point of objection states that the council believes that most people will travel to and from Selwood Garden community by car. This is a matter of fact, not belief. It's not convincing to say we believe. It turns no heads at all. This location, because of exactly where it is inevitably car dependent. It must be, and hence it is not sustainable. We think this objection could be reinforced with evidence that the distances to key destinations preclude active travel, and that public transport is inadequate and getting worse by the minute. You have this data, or if you don't, we do, so why not include it when you come to making your final proposition for refusal? Then you have another point of objection which rightly states that the existing town infrastructure cannot support a development of this size, but again does not cite any supporting data. It's very clear, even from the outline application, that over 15 years or so, SGC would increase the population that is dependent on Frome's infrastructure by up to 7,000 people, without a corresponding increase in capacity in that infrastructure. Again, we think this objection should quantify the level of population inflow and its likely impacts on the town's overall sustainability. So that, again, is more detail, more evidence, more data-based evidence. Similarly, you say that ways must be found to ensure that developers do not change the plans if the application is approved. The unfortunate fact is that there would be no way to stop developers and house builders deviating from any agreed design codes, even through a Section 106. Anybody who knows anything about the deviations of planning will know that that cannot be guaranteed. We have a case here where the SGC development model allows promoter and landowners to wash their hands of the project just as soon as they have taken their profit. That point has just been made. That will leave no responsible body to oversee the project for 15 or 20 years. So we would like to see the council statement cite the lack of a viable governance framework as a fundamental objection to the application. This is so important. We've never seen anything like this, where somebody attempts to build 1,700 homes without any governance of how it will develop over the period of up to 15 years. It is unique, and frankly, it's extremely cheeky, and we don't know how on earth. We should just be turning around and saying this is ridiculous. Sorry, I know you're going to say the same thing. Finally, just one small point. You have listed a wish list of what you would like to happen should the unfortunate thing go ahead. And one of the things you talk about is the ownership of communal assets at SGC. We're puzzled by that. We think such assets should be rightly and sensibly owned and managed by a residents' company. I've done a lot of work with developments of this kind, and it's very unusual for the local parish council to want to take those over. Owning assets does absorb a lot of council resources. It carries a lot of financial risk, and we think it would be premature for you to go so far at this stage in saying that that's something you quite definitely want. There are liabilities as well. Apart from that, and I said I'd keep it short, we ask the council to endorse the officer's conclusion that this application should be refused. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. You stayed within 3 minutes as well. Well done. I think you did, yeah. I'm sure you'll put that all in writing, won't you? Yeah, great. So it'd be good to then we can look through that. And lady next to you, can you just state your name, please? I think you did tell me on, just because of the recording.
It is working, yeah. I'm Jenny Raggett, and I'm a trustee of Somerset CPRE, Campaign Preserve Rural Zone, yeah. So, first of all, we've objected to this proposal already, and we continue, obviously, to object. And I must commend the Town Council for their approach. It's great. I mean, I've seen all sorts of big developments put forward, and I have to say Frome Town Council seems to be doing jolly well, so carry on the good work. The one thing I think that could be made more of is that this is not in the local plan. And it's my experience, I mean, I haven't actually, and I have got quite a lot of experience in planning, I've not seen this cheekiness before, to actually pressurise local communities to accepting something this large, which isn't even in the local plan. The local plan offers a policy context for this kind of development. It also offers the chance to scrutinise what the developers put forward, and it offers a chance for communities to comment. If the development gets that far round, there will be an examination in public of a local plan, and normally at that point, the people of the town can actually directly enter into conversation with developers and councillors And the local plan inspector is very with it when it comes to planning policy and does a good job, in my opinion, having attended a few of these events. But it's incredible that this is actually not being progressed through the local plan, and I would like to know why not. You know, that's an important question. So that was the first thing. The other thing that occurs to me is that there are many developers now hoping to build in the Frome area, but the cumulative impact of all those developments in terms of traffic, transport, facilities, community facilities, biodiversity and landscape hasn't, as far as I'm concerned, that I know, been assessed. So this is something which would happen if all these developments went through the correct local plan process. So there we are. In this country, we do have a plan-led system. This is developer-led. Lastly, because I know I've got to be quick, I was going to say, on the subject of traffic and that kind of thing, I also work for Transport for New Homes, and this is our speciality. And if you'd like any input for free, then please do get in touch with me. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Jenny. Thanks for those comments. John is next. Saw your hand.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of Frome Area Community Land Trust, of which I'm chair. I hear a lot of people making very detailed remarks, and they're all very extremely valid. Our sort of position on this is very generic, really, and hopefully people will understand why. So this council declared a housing crisis, and I think we need to put this application in the context of that housing crisis. So just for information for people, on April the 1st, there was over 2,000 people who were on the Home Finder register for East Mendip. And that's not Frome. I'm not saying it's all for Frome, but nevertheless, it demonstrates the level of demand that there is for social housing and genuinely affordable housing. And we would certainly recommend one of the recommendations the Town Council is making regarding 40% affordable. And we'd also like to see a recommendation that they implement a local lettings policy, which Somerset as a council has a obligation or can do. It's not in their local plan, it's not part of their normal procedure, but they can implement, where under the planning rules, a local letting policy, and we'd like to see that. So the reality here is that this town is expanding, and we have to recognise that expansion and to some extent welcome the expansion in terms of what it brings to the town in terms of employment and population growth, etc., and families coming to live here. So our primary purpose is to, and one of our major values, if like, is to look at community-led developments and to look at genuinely affordable housing where that's possible. So we try to be very active on this topic and be very much community-led, and we want to listen to what the community has to say, because that's crucial to how we operate as an organisation. However, we recognise the potential opportunity that SGC offers to provide a significant number of social homes for rent. However, we are also very aware, and they've all been raised today to some extent, of the challenges their proposals present and the boldness of their application, one could say, and the real pressures that this application could bring on the town's infrastructure, which will result, those changes and those pressures will happen if this proposal is accepted as it's currently represented. So these challenges must be, we believe, strongly addressed. And that's, we think, through discussion. We have to be talking to developers because the reality is that development in the town is through private developers, and very little, if any, is through other means. The exception possibly being Mayday Saxonville, if approved. So developers putting forward schemes that do not meet our values of providing generally affordable housing and housing which meets people's needs in terms of efficiency and energy efficiency, etc. And also, you can't just, a town is not simply its homes. All development, and in this case it very much applies to SGC, they must provide the necessary health and education services, transport and road infrastructure, green spaces and employment that will support strong, resilient communities. We need developments which are designed to enhance the well-being of residents and the needs of our community and the needs of Frome. And we should look at applications which reflect that need and have discussion with developers wherever we can to try and put conditions on them which are enforceable. And I'd like to know a bit more about the non-severance, I think it was called, it was mentioned, because the reality is that developers can say lots of different things that outline application, but when it comes to reserve, or even after reserve, they can change it. And we know what happened to the school at Edmund Park. So we want to see homes for all, but not at the expense of the destruction of our environment and our town's identity and infrastructure. So this means homes, but not homes at any cost. So developments for social and community benefit and not purely financial benefit. Thank you.
Thanks for that, John. Great. Any other comments? Oh yeah, Katie. You're hiding.
Hello. Just to add a comment to what John has said, I have written to the council before and pointed this out. The value of agricultural land is in the region of £11,000 a square metre, probably a bit more, sorry, per acre. My brain is...
Popular, but not that popular, yeah.
I did this research a few years ago, so it will be out of date. The value of land with planning consent for housing is in the region of £650,000 per acre. And therefore, we could actually get 100% affordable homes on any development if the developers were to offer landowners a lesser price for their land.
Good point. Thanks, Katie. Any other comments from the public before I go on to councillors? Scanning the room. Rich, didn't see you back there.
Just a quickie. I'm a trustee, Friends of the River Frome, so thanks for including some of our stuff that we came up with. It's quite a detailed response. I won't go into it now. One aspect that I'm quite interested in, being a homeowner who lives down at Wallbridge, very close, is already 3 times Wallbridge has flooded this year and the road's been closed off, which in itself is a pretty inconvenient for Frome. But I'm quite interested in Section 106 monies. What could we do to pressure people to do something about Wallbridge? You know, is that a possibility to say put an extra channel or a tunnel or something to reduce that risk of flooding back there? Because at the moment, it is only about 3 or 4 houses and a couple of businesses that might go under. We survived so far, but it was very close. I just a thought that, you know, is there somewhere we can pressure to say, how much would it cost to improve that bridge?
Thanks, Rich. Good point. One of the things we have discussed is that one of our comments is that we would like a seat at the table for any Section 106 discussions rather than just having a Section 106 agreement thrust upon us, which is normally the case. So, yeah, good point. Thank you. The lady next to you.
Hi, I'm Elaine Pugsley. I live on the very far side of Frome, Dragonfly Close, right by the proposed development. You have to really be conscious and decisive to walk into town from Dragonfly Close. It takes 20 minutes to get into town if you're fit. So to go any further out is a very personal choice about wanting to be on the edge of Frome. For somebody who is needing affordable housing, that can't possibly be their highest priority. They're going to want to be financially sustainable and easily accessible to the town centre. So
it doesn't add up to me to actually be even suggesting affordable housing so far out from the town centre and from all the services. We need, in my opinion, we need to be much stronger as as a democratic community to get all these brownfield sites around Frome compulsorily purchased and get affordable housing built on them.
Okay, thank you very much, Elaine. Any other questions from the public? There were none of them previously. Right, okay. In which case I'll move on to Chris Bennett. He's here from Selwood Parish Council, who we've been working very closely with in formulating this response, as you'll have probably read. So Chris just wants to say a few words on behalf of Selwood Parish Council.
Hope you don't mind if I stand up. I feel better talking standing up. But I'm from Selwood Parish, well, Selwood Parish Council. Sorry. Okay. I do need some notes. My contribution seems to be a bit lightweight by comparison with some of the things that have been previously said. However, I think it's important perhaps that we fill you in on where Selwood Parish Council fits into the whole thing. And I think it's important to remember that this development, proposed development, actually is almost exclusively within our parish. And I really need to say a thank you to the officers of Frome Town Council and some of the councillors, and particularly to Grassroots LVA, because they have involved us all the way through, right from the get-go. And we've actually held public meetings, we've actually attended many presentations, and we've been fully involved in this process. We wouldn't have been able to have any contribution, really, because without their support. So tonight, our parish council is meeting, that's why I'm here on my own, and they will be discussing this very same topic. We've actually had lots of public meetings, well, lots of meetings with our residents, and we've tried very hard to absorb those points of view and have actually made those representations to Frome Town Council, and they've really been good at actually including many of the issues brought up by our residents and included it in the report or the submission that they will subsequently make one way or the other. They've actually been quite robust in some of their responses, but they've also included positive and constructive comments on what may possibly happen in the future. We as a parish council, though, I can vouch for that, is that we are less than reassured by Wessex Water over their assertions that they can cope with the processing of sewage and flood management. We also feel that if a scheme goes ahead, there are serious issues yet to be addressed around the access to the commercial zone at Blatchbridge and the impact of increased traffic on the A361 Frome bypass. And finally, there is a real mistrust of the developer or developers and their commitment to deliver any promised infrastructure and the local planning authority's ability to enforce it. We are only a tiny council, but we do recognise that there is a genuine need for more houses. People need roofs over their heads, and what we seriously do not want is piecemeal development, which is almost certain to happen at some stage across that piece of land. We hope that we've represented our residents honestly, accurately and fairly. We sincerely hope that together we can achieve a satisfactory outcome for everyone. But this process is not over, and ask any of our residents to make representations to us in order that we can bring about the best possible result. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Sorry, Chris. Always get your poo mixed up. Yeah. Great, thank you. I'll go to, so we've got some Somerset councillors here. So any Somerset council wants to say anything?
Thank you. Yeah, just a couple of things, just to say to people in the room, as members of the planning committee, we can't actually say which way we're going on this. We're not allowed to. We're here to, that means we'd be predetermined, and if I said what I think about this development, then I could be forced to leave the room and not vote. So you'll forgive us if we speak tonight as objectively as we can. I'm just therefore observing this evening. I just want to make 1 or 2 points in relation to things that I've heard. The worrying thing is, we've talked a lot about it being against the local plan. I'm afraid we haven't got a local plan that's up to date. It's been allowed to go out of date. It's being updated as we speak. Other areas of Somerset have got a local plan. I've seen a draft of the local plan and I have to sign it off. But it won't come into effect for a while. I'm not quite sure how long, which is a worry, because it leaves us vulnerable, because an authority can be taken advantage of without a local plan. Obviously, we hope that doesn't happen. I'm listening to what John Clark said. You know, there is an absolute need for housing in Frome, but the question I would ask is this sustainable? Wessex Water, yes, I attend the Selwood Parish meetings, and actually they're a very knowledgeable group of people, and it was only by attending a parish council meeting that I even knew about Selwood Garden Community, because some of the people there had made offers on their land before it became publicly known. And they asked the question, they had Wessex Water visit them, and they asked the question, is the water management sustainable, including the sewage? Wessex Water will always say, any water company will always say, yeah, it's fine, we can manage it. And, you know, the question was asked there, well, how are you going to pump sewage uphill to Frome? And there's always an answer. The problem is they don't have to give statistical evidence. They get consulted and they say, yes, we can manage it. But they don't have to actually give this. So you've got to get your arguments really, really strong. And your point about having the right statistics is really well made, because there's too much. There's a lot of generalisations that go on that are allowed to be accepted. And it is important to know that Selwood Parish Council sees this application first, and that Frome Town Council, I believe, Jane, is just a consultant, a consultee in the issue. I think I know where that will go from their point of view, and I do hope that the other councillors in that room, when this is decided upon, listen to what you've got to say, what the parish has got to say, and what the town council has to say. And we will be pushing to ensure that they do. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Thank you, Martin. Hey. Shall I stay seated? I'll stay seated. I've got sciatica. That's my excuse. Yes, Jane, I haven't actually read all your report, but the summary. Can I ask, what do you think the weight is? Because all of these things in planning are given a certain amount of weight. What do you think has the most weight in the points you make about why you don't want to approve it as it is? Do you have a particular top 10?
That's a really good question. It is very difficult because, you know, as we've heard about the being outside the development boundary, but we're also aware of the status of the local plan. And I think, you know, looking at the position of the MPPF, so, you know, in favour of sustainable development, I think combined those objections are aiming to demonstrate that it isn't sustainable. So I'm not really sure that I could give you a top 10.
I suppose it doesn't really matter in a way, because if you, well, certainly if you turn something down at a planning board, you have to then, with the legal officers and the planning officers, have to work out which are your objections, and they have to be sustainable in planning law, etc., planning policy. No, I just wondered, it's cumulatively, really, it's the gain of the benefit to the community and the loss to the community. It's all balanced in the scales. And I've lived here for 40 years now. I'm quite surprised. I thought it was 30 something. It's now 40 years. And that bit of land, as you go down out of Frome, is, well, I put quite a lot of weight on it myself. It's where the countryside starts, and it's why I liked Frome when I came here, because it was contained. And my worry is that a landscape feature like that, which leads you on, unfortunately, over the bypass, but leads you on to a village where you can go and enjoy whatever they've got to offer. To me, the loss of that has to be weighed against what we're gaining, and I'm not sure yet whether the gain is sufficient to lose a landscape feature like that. Plus, of course, don't forget that that's a field, although it's maybe not the top quality productive land, it's still where food can be produced. And I'm looking at the future, and Frome really needs to be surrounded by sort of market garden to supply food to the people who are going to need it. Anyway, that's my half pennyworth.
There is reference to that in the report and one of the expanded objections.
Oh, lastly, I was going to say, does anyone want to elaborate on the sewage problem? I didn't realise we got to pump the sewage from the south of the town under the river to get to the sewage works, which causes a constriction. And they've just done some mitigation work, I think, in somewhere in the centre of town to give you an expansion tank. But I don't think they'd calculated that another 17 households would be flushing their loos and they're running their bars, etc., etc. So interesting. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mick. Good points. Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. Just because trees always have to come up in any conversation about this. And Julian Haidt 4 years ago wrote a report about the number of ancient and important and historic trees that feature across that particular landscape. It's the only tree survey that's been done of the area. The developers, nobody else, as far as I'm aware, has done a tree survey of that area. The National Planning Policy Framework states, when determining planning applications, local planning authorities should apply the following principles. Development resulting in the loss or deterioration of irreplaceable habitats such as ancient woodland and a loss of ancient or veteran trees should be refused unless there are wholly exceptional reasons. I don't think there are in this case. Just in terms of numbers, 62 notable veteran and ancient trees are recorded in the area. A lot of them in little secret hidey holes like within hedgerows, which we know are also really important to supporting biodiversity. There's loads of different vertebrates and invertebrates and species inhabiting those trees. So in terms of the wildlife impact, it would be huge. Bugsy's report, Julian Haidt's report, is available. If anyone wants it, they can email me at the council and I can get it forwarded to them. But that should be a significant part of our response. Thank you.
And next to you, Lisa.
Thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge receipt of Andrew Edwards' report on shining light on prehistoric occupation of Frome, which refers to some of the site being of historical significance. I will hold that behind the counter at Frome Town Council if anybody would like to have a look at that as well. So thank you, Andrew, for dropping that off.
Great, thank you. Mark has got a comment.
Thank you. I'm going to speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, who've asked me, who wanted to be here tonight but unavoidably detained. They sent me a report about tea time, so I've proceeded a bit. Need some glasses now. Right, so Chamber of Commerce, as we all know, is to represent the wider business community, and they're going to focus on this part, on the economic impact of the development. They note that out of a development of 95 acres, 6.7 hectares are being allocated to employment space. That's down in size from the original 12 hectares in the initial application. Proposed use classes include E, B2 and B8. They can't see any analysis that's being undertaken to see which is the need for those classes, because they say Frome already has large capacity for current and proposed B2 and B8 employment space, and you'll find that sort of space on Marston Trading Estate, Commerce Park and other locations around the town. So they would like to have seen a needs assessment relating to the decision to create employment space of that designation. They're also unclear as whether the other mixed-use, non-residential uses, such as cafes, convenience stores, schools, are included in that 6.78 hectares. The location of the employment space is allocated to the part of the development which will be prone to flooding at the bottom of the development, meaning potential impact on any businesses. And they highlight the insufficiency of infrastructure to support commercial waste from such a low ground level on the site, and that access to that site would be through pre-existing residential properties at Blatchbridge. B2, B8 classes, warehousing, etc., use big trucks, and they're worried about the impact on the people there. Increased residential traffic to and from the site along the bypass. If it doesn't go along the bypass, it'll go through the town with potential gridlock, more than we've already got. So we have 3,000 to 7,000 new residents, perhaps. The employment space is proposed to employ up to 400 people. Therefore, of those 3,000, 7,000 new residents who are of working age, only 400 of them will be accommodated within the development. Therefore, Frome will become even more of a dormitory, with people commuting to Bristol, Bath and West Wilts. I will forward this copy to Jane, and it's already been written to as an objection. But at this stage, Frome District Chamber of Commerce intends to object to the current application for the reasons set out above.
Thanks, Mark. Any other comments from any other councillors? No. Great. It's a statement, not a question. Great. Anything from the public, Rachel? Online? Nothing online? Anything's come through? Great.
I want to ask.
Is Matthew online?
Matthew is online.
So Matthew Kenya is online from LVA. Matthew, if you want to say anything, you're more than welcome. If you want to comment,
reply in the chat.
Yeah, reply in the chat, and then we can let you in on a Rachel's. Okay. Fine.
Sorry, Steve, just had some technical difficulties there. Apologies, I couldn't be there tonight. No, I don't think I've got any. I've already set out a number of times the benefits of the scheme. I think there's been some debate about the housing need for the town. I do think that the council needs to think long and hard about the fact that there is a need for development in Frome, and when the local plan comes forward, it will at some point. We don't know how many years that will take. I think we just got to think about, well, what happens to the 400-600, depending on what data you're looking at, their households waiting for affordable homes. How long are we going to expect them to wait?
Okay, thanks very much. I'm going to make some comments, actually, because I can. I've been on planning committee now for about 6 or 7 years, and I guess the feeling I've got is there tends to be a general sort of town-wide scepticism, and from what we've heard tonight, that what developers say they're going to do and what they actually do never actually correlate. You've only got to look at some of the recent things that have happened in town. Edmund Park, there was going to be a school. People moved into that estate thinking there was going to be a school. There was going to be a school for at least 10 years. There was going to be a bridge across the river. You know, they put a bit of money for it, but, you know, it's going to have to be funded by somewhere else. Even the old print works, you know, that site there, you know, what started off as, I think, 24 affordable houses was very quickly reduced to about 16 or 18 under a variation of conditions as that came through. That came through the back door. You know, we're seeing developments potentially come through at Packsaddle where, you know, they're saying, oh, we can't afford to put any affordable housing in. So that, you know, there tends to be this general sort of skepticism that things are going to happen. And then when you look at the responses from some of the statutory consultees, the sewage has been raised several times here tonight. Wessex Water are saying they have no objection, yet the statistics for the number of storm outflows in the last year have gone up significantly. So how can you correlate another 1,700 houses and it being okay? It doesn't work. Same with the medical practice. We all see on social media and elsewhere how easy or not it is to get an appointment at the medical practice. And the medical practice is saying they have no comment, they have no issue from their perspective. Again, it doesn't correlate with another potentially 4,000 people coming in. So these are not necessarily questions for the developers, they're questions for the statutory consultees. We need to know some of the data behind why they're saying they think it's okay, because it's not correlating with what's happening in the town. And I could go on schools, highways, we all know what happened right this week, you know, and dreadful. How are they coming up with these decisions? Because if they're wanting us to make these decisions as a planning advisory committee, then we need to sort of understand how they're coming up with their decisions rather than just saying no objection. So that is something that I think we need to work on a lot going forward, and that's why in our objection, you know, I'm really clear that we should be part of any Section 106 discussion so that any monies comes back to Frome. So we can, if this does go ahead, money comes into Frome so that we have a say in how that money is spent in Frome to increase the infrastructure and the benefits to the residents that already live in Frome and any future residents. So that's all I've got to say. Jane, I'm going to ask you to wrap up and promote. I'll send it to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so what I've... Is it not on? It is on. It's only you that can't hear it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so just a summary, really, I think, of what we've heard in addition. Yes, so to include some comments about concern about dormitory town, which is also reflected by the Chamber of Commerce. And Pat, yes, absolutely include data and statistics and so on. I was just very conscious of the fact that the report was already 14 pages long, but absolutely we'll put those in. And yes, if you're going to send us a summary of that, that would be really helpful. To say more about the status of the local plan. Also to say, include something about a local lettings policy. Rich, I can talk to you separately about the Section 106 flooding at Wallbridge, if that helps. Oh, maybe not. No. And what else? I think there were a few comments about concern about Wessex Water's response and how they reached that conclusion. And again, Steve's general point about asking statutory consultees, you know, how did they reach their comments? And you know, I spoke about us putting facts and figures against that. Maybe that's something that we should be asking them to do as well. And what else? Sarah, I know you spoke about veteran trees. I don't know whether you had the opportunity to read the reply from Matthew at Grassroots, but there is a comment in there that no veteran trees will be removed, but certainly can say something about trees in our response, obviously to, you know, to ensure that none are removed as per the plans. And the last one I think was from the Chamber of Commerce, about a needs assessment for the type of business users that are needed. That's what I captured.
Great, thank you. So we might as well go to recommendation, don't we? Which is down to you.
Thank you. It is down to me. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jane, for all your input and all your work on this. And thank you for everyone that's contributed this evening to a really detailed and interesting discussion. I think we have the recommendation up on the screen behind me. Yes. So can we have a proposer, please? Sarah Butler, seconded by Mark Dorrington. All vote, please.
That's unanimous.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Oh, and pickles, yes. Pickle doesn't want it either, apparently. Not even a tree. Thank you very much. Our last item on the agenda, item 7, a proposal from the Frome Independent to become a community interest company. And initially, I'm going to hand over to Paul. And thank you very much, Anne. Lovely to see you.
Anne Hill's left at 7:35. So Victoria is going to speak and give a much more knowledgeable and detailed explanation of this. But on behalf of Peter, who's on holiday this week, he's written a short sort of cover sheet for this with the recommendation that Frome Town Council agrees to the proposal to change the Frome Independent as a company limited by guarantee to it's a community interest company. Got that right. Peter has been involved in this since its inception in 2013, and he's instrumental in working with the kind of the original organisations, including Frome Town Council. And he's looked at this and recommends that the council agree to this as a good way forward and a next stage, and sort of hopefully then continuing to bloom in Frome Independent market. And that is all I have to say. So if I can hand over to Victoria.
Hi, welcome, Victoria.
This one or this one's too. Hello? There it goes. Okay, thank you. The Frome Independent is the award-winning destination market that takes place in Frome Town Centre on the first Sunday of the month between March and December. One of the region's largest events, the monthly market provides Frome with a valuable platform for culture, as well as for local groups, organisations and charities to raise awareness and funds. Constituted as a not-for-profit company limited by guarantee, we are proposing converting to become a community interest company to allow for more robust governance and improve eligibility for grant funding. The Frome Independent started life in 2009 as St Catherine's Artisan Market. Founded by a Frome-based entrepreneur, its aim was to bring footfall to the independent shops of Catherine's Hill. Over subsequent years, the market grew in popularity and expanded to include a flea and vintage market section. This grew again in 2012 when a series of pilot events called Frome Supermarket expanded the market across the whole town centre. Following the success of these pilots, in 2013, the market received grant funding from Mendip District Council and Frome Town Council, and in 2014 was rebranded as the Frome Independent. We are, and continue to be, immensely grateful for Frome Town Council's support in our formative years. The Frome Independent remains a firm fixture in our town's event calendar, and the original vision behind its creation continues to be relevant. The benefits of street markets to communities is well documented, providing a sense of place and social focus, a space to meet and linger, economic benefits to local businesses as well as traders, plus relatively low-risk startup opportunities for entrepreneurs. We attract over 60,000 people into Frome Town Centre across the year, delivering considerable economic benefits to local food and drink producers, designers, craftspeople, startup businesses, and Frome's independent shops and hospitality sector, creating direct sales on the day and considerable marketing opportunity from the large footfall in the town centre. Our visitor research indicates the market's value to the local economy is around £2 million per annum. Around 30% of visitors live in Frome and walk to the market. 20% come from under 10 miles away, and approximately 35% from over 20 miles away. An estimated just under 70% of market visitors travel to Frome by car. We provide a donation-only park and ride service to discourage visitors from using the town centre car parks and residential streets. So far this year, we've received just under 500 applications, with 355 of those being successful. Just over 20% of these applications are from Frome residents, and of those, 92% have so far been accepted. Trader applications are assessed according to publicly available criteria and guidelines, prioritising local independent designers and makers that demonstrate quality, ethical working practices, sustainability and locally sourced seasonal products. The market is then curated month by month to create a balance of products and rotation of traders. On event day, we offer many Frome-based community initiatives a platform to engage with market goers and promote their activities. In the last year, we've supported the work of the Kindness Festival, Frome Pride, Keep It Frome, the Slow Stitch Club, Victoria Park Community Cafe, Window Wonderland, Frome Festival, Pod Scrap Store, and Friends of the River Frome. We also partner with local charities each month to raise awareness and give them an opportunity to raise funds. Last year, we supported Bath Cats and Dogs Home, Purple Elephant, Mind in Somerset, Blue Cross, Dorothy House, Fair Frome, and Frome Carnival. And last year, in our November market, the Royal British Legion raised over £2,000 for their puppy appeal. Music is at the very heart of our event, with regular local DJs on the village green, as well as the town centre busking stage, which had 34 local bands performing on it last year. In 2023, we worked in collaboration with the Town Council on our November night market. This ran in conjunction with the Council's Light the Night event. Out of the 43 traders we had, 31 were Frome-based, and the other 12 were based within 25 miles of the town. The night market drew crowds that were more local to Frome, with the majority being local families. In order to continue to support the local community of Frome, we are running 2 night markets in 2024, in addition to the 10 Sunday markets that we have already planned. The market employs 4 local people part-time. On market days, the event management team are all local to Frome and have a wealth of experience working on events and festivals nationally and internationally. The market has a set-up crew of approximately 15 people who are all also local. We employ approximately 20 stewards to manage the road closure and park and ride system. Stewards are volunteers for their carnival club, so the stewarding fee goes into their carnival entries and supports Somerset carnivals. We work closely with Frome Town Council, Somerset Council Highways and Parking, all emergency services, and especially the police. The event plan and procedures are all agreed prior to the markets beginning each year. We also employ several local subcontractors. Signage, street cleaning, park and ride, buses, graphic design, web hosting and printing are all undertaken by Frome-based companies who employ local staff. When the Frome Independent, I think I've missed a slide here. Oh, okay. When the Frome Independent was established, it was structured as a company limited by guarantee. A not-for-profit structure that was widely used by smaller organisations before community interest companies were common. We are proposing conversion to CIC status for the following reasons: to open up our eligibility for certain grants and additional funding opportunities that specifically target socially driven enterprises, an important consideration for us as the cost of the operation continues to rise. Converting to a CIC will make membership of our board of directors more appealing to members of the local community, providing much needed expertise for us in areas such as legal advice, HR, sponsorship, tech and retail. Having this structure will provide a more robust framework for guidance and scrutiny of the organisation. The CIC legal structure provides a clear and recognised framework for companies operating with a social purpose. This structure will allow us to legally embed our commitment to community benefit, providing transparency and accountability to stakeholders. As a CIC, should the business for any reason fold, we could attribute all assets to another chosen local community enterprise. Conversion to a CIC would not change our relationship with Frome Town Council. Myself and my team are keen to build on what is already an excellent working relationship and explore ways to collaborate for the social, economic and environmental benefit of Frome. To maintain our ongoing partnership with the Council, I propose adding a clause to the articles in our CIC contract offering observer rights to Frome Town Council. This would allow additional insight into the market's decision-making process, allow the Council to ask any questions, and hopefully reassure councillors of their continued involvement in the Frome Independent. As it stands, Peter Wheelhouse is currently the named representative of Frome Town Council to the Frome Independent and attends our twice-yearly board meetings, and we would be keen for this relationship to continue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. Really informative. Thank you very much. Are you happy to take any questions if anybody has any comments or anything? I don't think there will be. No, everybody's happy. Oh, there is. There's a lady at the back there, and then Lisa.
It's just a question of parking, which, as the market has expanded so much, has become a problem for all residents. I live up on the Mount, and I can see now that the parking is even reaching up into the residential areas there and blocking people's way. Is there an effort to expand?
Yeah, I can certainly answer that, and I think my team might also have some comments they'd like to make. We are approaching every single business or opportunity of using space that we can in Frome to see if we can extend our car parks on market day. With the help of the Town Council, we are trying to gain access to use the football club parking. We are also trying to get another parking attendant to be available on the day. At the moment, we only have one, so we're trying to get another one or two. So really, we are really pushing hard to try and find more space because we appreciate that it's an issue. Do any of you guys have anything you want to say on that extra? Yeah.
I know what exists. It's just worrying that people are still finding problems on market days.
Yeah, we're aware of it, and we're trying to expand our car parks as much as we can.
Right, thank you very much. Lisa, you had a point.
I just want to say thank you to Victoria for coming in and having lots of conversations and kind of the lead up to this. So thank you very much, and thank you for sharing all that information. Thank you to Rachel, who does a lot of work with the Frome Independent, and Anne. So yeah, just want to say thank you.
We've got one question online from Rachel, and then Lenka, please. Is he typing or speaking? He's going to speak, okay.
Hi, is that offering me a chance to speak?
Hi, Nick. Yes, off you go.
Hi, Phil. Yeah, so I wasn't sure I could come through. Yeah, thanks very much. Let me join you from North Yorkshire. Thank you very much indeed, Victoria. It's a great presentation, really interesting. I think I'm the only councillor who's traded at the independent market in the past. So I speak from that insight, as well as it's probably my favourite day of the month whenever the market's on. It's whenever I invite friends from outside of Frome to come and visit me. I always try and make it in an independent market weekend. I've noticed in the last year or so, maybe a bit longer, a real change as well from talking to traders traders as in permanent traders, people who are based in Frome, in a sense of how the market is being run, a sense of transparency and more involvement and consultation, which I think is brilliant. And it seems to have made a kind of change in how some people who were previously negative about the market now feel much more positive. I think it's great. And I think the idea to move to a CIC is a great one, and fully supported. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Enjoy Yorkshire. Rachel? From Adam. Is it Adam Boyden, yeah?
Yeah, he says that Somerset Council and councillors
would like to also get observer status, please.
Okay.
And added to that, I also have a comment from Peter McFadden, who couldn't be here, but emailed earlier. And he said, as the past and current director of a number of Frome CICs, I welcome the proposal to clarify the organisation of the independent market, which I feel will be enormously positive in clearly identifying the market as for the benefit of Frome and opening up the possibility of a number of currently unavailable funding sources. He says, P.S. This comes from my previous struggles as a councillor to be totally clear about who is running the market for who.
Thank you very much. Lenka, they've had a comment.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's been great for many charities to be given the opportunity to have stalls and bucket collections, and at Christmas it's really successful. I just wanted to also just pick up on the comment about the football club. So Fair Frome and Purple Elephant currently run Sunday lunches for families on the same day as the market. So we would like to keep the car park at the football club, the one behind the football club, for our families, please, if that's possible. Thank you.
So that, Lenka, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victoria. That's great, thank you. So we have a recommendation. Do we have recommendations, please? Are those on the screen? Okay, we're happy with those recommendations. Do we have someone proposing, please? Lisa, seconded by Steve. Any vote, please?
That's unanimous.
Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you, Rachel, Becca, Sarah, and Laura. Thank you, Paul. Thank you all for coming. Great to see so many of you here this evening. Thank you for your contributions. Our next meeting states on the agenda will be on the 15th of May. In fact, it will be on the 1st of May, Wednesday, the 1st of May. Please note that it will be again at 6:30, and we will be considering the Acorn application for Saxonvale. Details to follow. Thank you all very much.